Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep underground to see exactly why skipping fall aeration, especially around the Charlotte area, could quietly be suffocating your tall fescue lawn. If you live anywhere around Charlotte, Huntersville, Cornelius, Davidson, or really the greater Lake Norman area, you know for a fact that fall is a highly anticipated time of year. But, for your lawn, fall is way more than just a nice break from the heat. It is absolutely its vital recovery season. So today, we're going to explore the hidden costs of leaving your soil compacted and why addressing this invisible problem is literally the key to getting a thriving, vibrant yard.
Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the post-summer hangover, then the hidden costs of skipping, followed by aeration and overseeding combined. After that, we'll look at the 30-day soil reset, and finally, wrap up with why preventative care wins.
All right, jumping right in with part 1. The post-summer hangover.
We all know the feeling of a long, hot southern summer, right? But we honestly rarely think about what it does to the ground right beneath our feet. After months of intense heat, drought, and heavy traffic around Lake Norman, your cool season fescue is just exhausted. Actually, by August, North Carolina clay can feel like a solid slab of concrete. It's tough. These summers are incredibly stressful for tall fescue because fundamentally, it's a cool season grass. It's out there battling high temperatures, suffocating humidity, crazy disease pressure, and wildly inconsistent moisture from those sudden heavy downpours. Now, combine all those environmental stressors with the literal physical weight of lawnmowers, kids playing out back, general foot traffic, and your once lush turf is left thin, stressed, and super vulnerable. But the real kicker? The damage isn't just what you see on the surface, it's what has happened to the very structure of the soil itself.
Let's zoom in for a second on a really vital concept called pore space. When heavy clay compacts, it literally crushes these tiny air pockets, essentially suffocating your lawn's root system. Charlotte area lawns are pretty famous for dealing with heavy clay soils. On one hand, clay can actually hold water extremely well, but on the flip side, compacted clay creates this massive biological bottleneck. You see, healthy soil actually relies on a very delicate, absolutely crucial balance of water-filled and air-filled pores. When heavy foot traffic and those pounding summer storms beat down on your lawn, the soil compacts, and those crucial microscopic spaces are reduced to almost nothing. Oxygen can't reach the root zone, water stops moving through the soil profile, roots literally lose the physical space they need to expand, and essential nutrients just get trapped.
Which brings us to our second topic, the hidden costs of skipping. The consequences of skipping this vital fall step? Well, they usually don't show up the very next day, but they will absolutely haunt your lawn for months to come. Ignoring compaction leads to these 5 hidden underground crises. First off, the soil just stays compacted. If you skip aeration, you're asking your roots to survive in the exact same crushed, crowded environment. Second, your fescue struggles to recover. Fall is when temperatures finally cool down and favor fescue growth, but if the soil is essentially a brick, the plant can't take advantage of the weather. Third, overseeding totally fails. Throwing seed on top of rock-hard soil is just throwing money away. Seed absolutely needs soil contact to establish. Fourth, water runs right off the dense surface instead of sinking in. And fifth, your roots physically have less room to grow, which weakens the entire foundation of your lawn for the whole next year.
Just think about the difference here. Compacted soil forces water to wash right off the surface, while aeration literally opens up channels for water to soak deeply into the root zone, where it actually belongs. Have you ever stood out in your yard during a rainstorm, or maybe while your sprinklers were running, and just watched the water sheet across the grass and straight down the driveway? Yeah, that is compaction in action. When the surface is dense and sealed up, water just takes the path of least resistance, moving laterally across the lawn. But core aeration punches right through that crust, creating physical channels that dramatically improve water infiltration. This is a total game changer, especially for parts of your yard that get heavy foot traffic or have a notorious history of poor drainage.
A truly beautiful lawn doesn't start at the blades. It starts way below the surface. As a fundamental rule, grass roots need access to 4 things: water, oxygen, nutrients, and the literal physical space to stretch out and grab them. Compacted soil limits every single one of those 4 things. Now, core aeration isn't magic, and no, it won't fix every single turf disease out there, but it directly solves the most critical physical limitation your lawn is facing. By opening up the soil, you give your root systems the pathways they desperately need to grow incredibly strong. And honestly, a strong root system is their absolute best defense against future environmental stress.
Moving right along to Section 3, aeration and overseeding combined.
Fortunately, fall brings cooler temperatures that favor fescue growth, making it literally the perfect time for a rescue mission. Let's look at how these two steps build on each other. Aeration first opens up the physical environment, giving the new seeds dropped during overseeding that essential seed-to-soil contact they really need to establish. A lot of homeowners try to improve their turf's density after a grueling summer just by overseeding. But again, tossing seed onto a compacted surface is a total recipe for failure. Core aeration changes the game entirely. Step 1 physically removes those small plugs of soil, creating thousands of tiny openings throughout the lawn. Then Step 2 introduces the new seed. Instead of just sitting helplessly on top of hard turf, that seed works its way down into those newly created holes. It's safe from getting washed away, it's surrounded by consistent moisture, and, most importantly, it's physically touching the soil. Aeration improves the environment, and overseeding introduces the new life. Together, they completely rebuild a thinning lawn.
Let's dive in to Section 4, the 30-day soil reset.
Instead of heading into fall suffocating, this 1-2 punch gives your lawn an immediate biological reset. Follow this 30-day timeline with me here. Almost immediately, air and water flow improves. It's actually amazing how quickly nature responds. In week 1, those new pathways instantly increase connectivity between the surface and the deep root zone. It's basically like the soil has taken a massive deep breath after holding it for months. By week 2, as growing conditions improve, the existing roots aggressively explore these newly opened channels, while the new fescue seeds start establishing in and around the holes. Moving into weeks 3 and 4, those messy soil plugs you saw scattered on top of the lawn, they begin to break apart. Thanks to microbial activity, they decompose, returning valuable organic matter and nutrients right back into the soil, while the holes just naturally settle and close up. The real benefit isn't what you see the day after the service, it's this powerful, unseen foundation forming beyond those initial 30 days.
And finally, Section 5, Why Preventative Care Wins. Now, I know some of you might be looking out your window right now thinking, but my lawn looks fine. Do I really need aeration? It's a super common question. But waiting until your turf is visibly struggling in the spring means you've completely missed the critical window for fall recovery. A lawn really doesn't have to look terrible to benefit from aeration. In fact, reacting to a dying lawn is always harder, way more expensive, and just more frustrating than simply maintaining a healthy one in the first place.
If your lawn checks any of these boxes, especially heavy clay or high traffic, preventative aeration is your ultimate secret weapon to avoid major headaches down the road. Let's think about it. Does your yard have heavy clay soil? Do your kids or pets give it high foot traffic? Are you noticing thin patches or maybe areas where water pools up after a rainstorm? Maybe you have a heavy layer of thatch, or you just know your lawn barely survived the summer stress. If you need fall overseeding, this is absolutely a non-negotiable step. Preventative aeration is fundamentally more valuable than waiting until your compaction becomes a severe crisis. If your lawn has survived a particularly stressful North Carolina summer, fall is your best and honestly your only time to properly evaluate and rescue its root environment.
What you should really take away from this explainer is that fall is your only real opportunity to repair that underground environment while temperatures moderate, allowing the plant to redirect its energy toward root development. One of the biggest mistakes we see homeowners make is waiting until the beautiful spring weather arrives to address their lawn problems. By then, it's too late. The issues you see in the spring are almost always problems that should have been corrected the previous fall. Because tall fescue thrives in cooler weather, fall is its absolute prime time for recovery and establishment. Taking action now sets your lawn up for success not just for this winter, but for the grueling summer that will inevitably return next year. It's just the core of any smart, long-term lawn care strategy.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Are you going to let your lawn slowly, quietly suffocate in compacted clay this winter, or are you ready to unlock its true potential and give it the breath of fresh air it desperately needs? The choice is entirely yours, but now you understand exactly what is happening right beneath the surface. Don't let compaction steal the health and beauty of your yard. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, here's to a healthier, stronger lawn this fall.